Hi, my name is Megan Bell and I am a part of the Ground Level Exchange team. Ground Level Exchange is a movement of people who want to build the kingdom of God Monday to Saturday, wherever they're placed, as well as on Sundays. Today I'm going to be talking to Joy Blundell about the concept of Missio Dei, the mission of God. If you like what you see, we'll have lots of videos coming out this year, so please like and subscribe. Hi Joy, thank you for being with us today. We are starting a Missio Dei resource where people can find out more about Missio Dei. Can you explain to us why it's important for us to think about Missio Dei, what it is?
So Missio Dei is basically the mission of God, the thing that He created the whole world for and created His people for, and that He calls us into. So not our own projects, not our own mission or vision, but the mission of Creator God. When He created, He said was really good, but He never said was perfect, never said was finished. In fact, He then put people like me and you, that He made in His image, into the world, and He said, I want you to go and be fruitful and multiply, to rule and to reign over this, and to have dominion. Go and make what I've made good, and make it even better, by filling the earth and creating culture. We're in a world that we know isn't perfect. Just over the last few years, definitely a kind of sense of groaning and aching and pain and dysfunction, that it's not working. But that's not because of God. Humanity went against God's will and way, and we call it the fall. And so things went wrong. And so I love the book of Romans. He kind of describes planet Earth in maybe like cartoon form in Romans 8, and he paints this wonderful picture of planet Earth. The Earth's kind of on tiptoes, with her neck stretched, like looking for the children of God to be revealed. So we're in His story, not our story. We're on His mission, not our own mission. And we're in a place where things were set really well. Humanity everything went wrong, but then God sent His only Son Jesus, because He loved the world so much that He gave Jesus, and Jesus sets us back on track with the mission of God, and he calls us to go into all the world and to proclaim the kingdom of heaven is at hand. When Jesus gathered His disciples to Him in Matthew 10, it says, the little kind of subtitle at the beginning of the passage, it says, Jesus sends out the 12, and the name of the 12 apostles were. And so there's a sense that as Jesus pulls His friends to Him, and He kind of charges them with, go and proclaim the kingdom of heaven is at hand, preach the gospel, heal the sick, raise the dead, cast out demons. The writer, Matthew, borrows this term that Jesus might have used, apostle, and we might just read it, and it's kind of part of our churchy language, isn't it? But we might just read it and think, oh, like apostle, that's just what we call leaders in churches or something. But actually he was stealing it from the Roman people. The Romans had this aggressive territory-taking strategy to take the whole of the known world and make it look like Rome. They would send in army generals called apostles, and then they would send in apostolic teams behind the army general, so not just a general, but on the team would be poets and philosophers and teachers and politicians and architects, and their job was to make this newfound territory that they just conquered into the culture of Rome. And so when Jesus is saying, let me gather you, the 12, to me, I want you to go and I want you to preach the kingdom of heaven is at hand. What He's saying is, I want you to go to take new territory, to bring the culture of heaven with a team of people, not just one, but make this space look like heaven. And so the mission of God is to partner with Jesus, to go on His mission, on His project, to bring heaven to earth, and to see renewal and transformation happen in not just people's lives, but in cities and in systems and in structures, and to see heaven come to earth in tangible ways. And our job is to just join Him in doing that.
So we have this idea of the fall, and we've fallen from what God designed us for, and we're bringing this renewal and this restoration to God's perfect plan. Can you describe to us what that looks like?
Yeah, I think a really good word to describe what that looks like is one single Hebrew word, shalom.
Oh.
And shalom's found loads of times in the Old Testament, and we translate it peace, the peace of God. But really the original kind of meaning for the word is so much more than peace. It's wholeness, it's peace in every kind of way of life, spiritual, social, economic, material, peace and prosperity, wholeness, everything being brought back together again. The best example I can give of God kind of charging his people to work for shalom is in the book of Jeremiah. And we kind of quote this verse, Jeremiah 29:11, all the time. Sure. Knowing the kind of original context of it is really powerful. This letter comes to the exiles, the people that have been exiled from Israel to Babylon by King Nebuchadnezzar, and he had this strategy. He would round up all the most brilliant, sharpest thinkers from a city or a territory, and he would take them back to Babylon and then try and assimilate them into people like Daniel were there, and they were sharp, bright young men brought in to be assimilated into the culture, and they were kind of really determined not to be assimilated. So they were camped out on the edge of Babylon, waiting for God to rescue them and take them back. Sure. And then they received this letter from Jeremiah, and the letter kind of blows their mind in terms of the charge that God's got for them, which is, for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you a hope and a future. And then it goes on to say, and therefore seek the prosperity or the shalom of the city, pray to it, for as it prospers, so will you. And so this is kind of a God saying, remember guys, I still love you, I've not forgotten about you, I've got a role for you, I want you to prosper. And the Hebrew words paint this beautiful picture of what God's saying is, the word plans means to weave, like weave a kind of piece of fabric. And so God's saying, I want to weave all you and the city and me and all my plans all back together again. And then the word future, where I want to give you a future, is the word kavar, and it is the same word that they would use for rope making. Wow. So what the letter's saying is, I want to weave you and me together and all my plans back together again to make a kind of never-ending rope that goes on for eternity.
That's incredible.
And so then the kind of picture we have is shalom and peace is where the whole of society and the world is woven back together. It's not fragmented like we're in now, but it's all woven back together in a perfect harmony of social, spiritual and cultural renewal. And that our role as people who might be like exiles, a bit like Daniel was, is not to hide away or to think I just want to be like away from all of this, but is to be part of that weaving and to seek the peace and the wholeness, the shalom of our cities, and to weave our cities back together again.
So what does this look like in your day-to-day life? And what does it look like in some stories of other people's lives that you know?
Yeah, one of my favourite things is getting to know people who really understand that they've got a contribution to make to weave shalom and bring renewal or restoration to the world around them. And it doesn't have to look like any huge, massive project. It's really just bringing ourselves to the world around us. And so I had a bit of a turning point when I understood like my purpose when I did the purpose session that's been written kind of for GLX. And my understanding as a pastor is to kind of lead the mobilisation of the church for the transformation of cities. And so not for the sake of building a church organisation in itself, but to release the people and equip them for the work of service. For me, I just love being a cheerleader for other people who've got gifts to bring to the world. So people like my friend Mel, who's a nurse, and during the COVID pandemic, she has the most incredible pastoral gift. So she would pray and sit by people's bedsides and sing songs in the corridors to kind of shift atmospheres. But she's since had a promotion, and her job now is to work across an NHS trust with other specialist nurses like her to bring collaboration so that people aren't working in silos. And she is a kind of cheerleader for other people like her. Another example, because sometimes we think it's got to be like really high-flying people, is a woman who's part of our church who called Ruth. I love that she sees her ministry as cleaning people's houses and making their homes a place for people, a sanctuary for people, so that those people can go and do their kind of ministry wherever God's called them. You know, it could be a nurse, it could be a teacher, a shopkeeper, a cleaner, wherever God's placed us. We join him in bringing transformation and hope and shalom, or the signs of the kingdom, to the world around us. Every single person who's made in the image of God, so any Christian who understands that they are a daughter or a son of the Most High King, has got something to bring to the Missio Dei.
That's great. So how can we as a community with Grand Level Exchange get involved in this? Like, could you talk a little bit about the resources coming out this year?
Yeah, so we've got some really exceptional theologians and thinkers in the network, and so a bunch of writers have come together and have created a document that goes through the kind of theology of this, like in way more detail and better words than I could ever say. We've also written a purpose course or session that people will be able to go through in small groups. We might do some Zoom kind of like online courses, or people can do it in their local church to discover their unique contribution that they can make to the world to bring renewal. And so for me, that's like a really exciting course, and really love to kind of promote that and give everyone an opportunity to think about how God's wired them and what they then bring to the Missio Dei.
Yes, we are so grateful to have had your input today, and you can keep up to date with what's going on with Grand Level Exchange by following us on social media and by following along with our blog, signing up to our mailing list, and you can find links to all of those things below this video. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for your time, Joy, and we'll see you soon.